Welcome to the Two Boots Word Vault podcast. In this episode, I'll be reading from my 2010 book of poems, Herds of Bears Surround Us. I'll be reading the first section, There's Something in the River. The first poem, A Black Bear Near the Cemetery. On the way to work, a mature, myopic black bear blocked my road. When my brakes squealed, he sniffed 4 directions, galloped through the jewelweed, and disappeared beyond the graveyard. Year by year, more bears return to Pierce County, hide between the bluffs and feed on bitter cherries and blackcaps. Once I dreamed a herd of bears surrounded me, were eyeing me, and spoke to one another in English. Last winter, I dreamed a huge bear joined our group of singers, wrapped his arms around our shoulders, and wept. When I gather with my friends tomorrow, I'll try to sing for the dead ones in my family, in my scratchy baritone voice. Here's the poem Spring and Steinbeck in Salinas. There's something in a river which every fence post can fear. Steinbeck saw it in Salinas, and when the rains came, hatred grew as if from the soil. An old Finlander from Esco knows, but she cups her hands and drinks from a spring, then goes alone hunting wild leeks. Over the Wabasha backwaters, swans fly north to the tundra. A dogfish rolls where the Amtrak follows. My craving for town things stirs up the mud in my soul as I recognize the swoosh. There's something in every river that moves the earth and water toward the briny prawnfish bed, and that hole which collects all the silt, the fear, and white fishbone tines. The moment is near. Today Ruth, who's dying of cancer, moved into Mary's house, her hospice for the end. Turkeys have come off the hilltop to parade on the lawn. It's spring, and 4 toms with long, full beards fan their tails for the females. The snowfield runoff plunges beneath Mary's driveway bridge, and in minutes that water will spill into the big river. Along the backwater, more than 50 eagles perch, prepared for a long flight north. As soon as that last black ice dissolves on the lake, they'll fly to their high stick nests in the mysterious white pine groves we've only heard of. And the moment is near. In the belly of a cod. On a Queensland trawler, in the belly of a cod, fishermen found a human head. It may be a Jonah, or an Australian Geppetto, or a skull from an old Norse myth. The Pacific waters are cold and deep, and hold songs that lead cod home. Only some of us can die at our headwaters reef and sing at its thrashing barrier. But maybe for a while, the skull sang in a choir, and his song brought him back to the shore. Tears. In this world many tears are shed, and the store for them is endless. Earth holds her tears in her marshes, her fens and bogs. The tears of people sear their eyes, sting their sorrowful tongues. Even tears of happiness are born of mortality and pain. The last tears of Jesus were of his blood and contained all the grief of humankind, all the grief which had been and all that would be. Some say that rainbows are made of light dancing through the tears of angels. For only angels can know at once all the joy and all the sorrow on earth and in the heavens. And the most tender of all are the tears flowing from the eyes of our dead when they come to see us one more time and we don't know how to respond. A chill. Something chills my heart when I see lines of Herefords fattening in my neighbors' feedlots. Their brown backs shiver as they dip their long white heads into troughs of conveyored corn. Once, during a campaign against brucellosis, I tracked interstate heifers through lading bills, veterinary tests, and auction barns. I was 26. My search for deceit and other men's greed killed some of my kindness. When I quit inspecting cattle, no one missed me. I went to Mexico, worked for an arrogant missionary, and kept diaries, hoping that one day I'd profit from my experience. But I failed to find a buyer. As I kneel to drink from Pine Creek's current, steers watch from their downstream pasture, and my open palm is a fine, leaky cup. Here's another poem about flowing water. After reading Lucky Luck in Gold Town, in this Hungarian folk tale, a stream flowed without a fish or creatures in it. Because nothing ever died there, it stayed pure. When the stream learns this, it rises 3 times and tries to murder the messenger. As thieves ford the stream, they drown with their stolen horses. After these deaths, anyone can catch fish. A century ago, when Andrew Lang collected the story, he cheated on the translation. He cleaned out some violence and made more money too. To live past 50, I had to know how to cheat and lie, to risk drowning in deceit, and to do so with integrity. This is part 2 of the section of poems, There's Something in a River. Snow has fallen. An inch or 2 of snow has fallen. Summer's earth-born beauties are covered. Among the nettle stalks, darkness decays the dead leaves. Isn't snow like death? No one will ever see my prickly face again. No one, maybe our curious hound, will hear me rustling, struggling with my concerns on the other side. Yet, because of the snow, because of seeds and saints and accident survivors. I sense that, somehow, the sun's warmth will return. I watch the chickadees flit from stem to dead stem. They pick at weed seeds and sing against the cold. A chickadee warrior is the bravest of all. He defends his kin against any large thing. He is steadfast, courageous, and in the worst winter he won't flee. Gray, white, and black, he's beauty with only 3 tones of his color. Joyous, he sings and dances when the slightest streak of dawn cracks open. He's social, and he chirps while snowflakes drop, slowly, beautifully, and easily. Even in a blizzard, he finds a refuge. He tucks himself in and waits for what's impossible to defy to pass. I've watched the gray day arrive out of a black dawn. Snow begins again. The lawn's white. The sky's white. And if it weren't for the gray trees and chickadees, I wouldn't know where earth stops and sky begins. Another poem, January Storm. I carry hay to the white-eyed wind-loco horses as they jolt from the corral to the feeding shed. Their hooves skid on the gray ice, and their rumps shiver with uncertainty. The temperature's dropping, and the wind feels like many small razors skipping across my face. With so little snow this year, dust blows off the bean fields, coats the frozen patch ice, and dirties all my windows. It's so cold. Even my angry demons leave me alone. I'm on my own. Another poem, A Salt Block in the Horse Pasture. When winter drives me deeper into myself, I sink beneath banks of envy. Self-pity hardens like blood on dirty snow. But isn't everyone's life pockmarked? In the pasture, a muddy spot shows hoof marks and tongue grooves where deer licked frozen dirt. The salt block and its chips melted the snowfall. Then, overnight, the deer came from all directions. Let salt be a drill bit in my life's toolbox. Let it penetrate my crusty fears. Let me remember this calm pasture. Let the deer lick my wounds. And another, like a pacing Shakespeare. Although he's almost asleep, the horse's long black tail swats at the swarm of flies who thrive on the sweat in his flank. Nearby, electrified larvae emerge from the slopped balls of his shit and grass. So many urges, shining, swelling, and turning toward the light. Like Shakespeare, who paced and gazed into London's sewers and watched for the mother goddesses to birth squirmy children, a vulture with feathery dark curiosity glides down to 3 dead raccoon along Highway 35. He makes bald their bones and releases an invisible something back to the safe, old-growth woodland. Another poem, Before Slipping into Sleep. There's a way a car speeds into twilight so that a shy deer, a lumbering fisher, or the slow cat hears something. Its pitch rises, but they can't see it, and they die. Sometimes at night, before slipping into sleep, I'm able to see, slowly, what connects places to events, my people to me, and me to you. Then suddenly, everything goes black. White pelicans. I get a sad smile when I see white pelicans swimming among the ashes and the dark maples that tower over the flood's black water. They're homely angels in a cathedral twilight, graceful, slow, each feeding alone on a current as steady as gravity and as deep as grief. Only a loon. A snapping turtle can take our pain into dark places. In autumn, when he rises for his last breath, he can take a cracked heart into the cold mud and bind the wound through the winter. But a loon is crazy. He's like a street corner prophet. His God is an echo who sings back to his derelict's longing. The loon collects grief like panhandled dollars to carry south in the fall and drop into the warm Florida Gold Coast Sea. Couple bee poems. The Bee and the Mosquito. A bee bragged to a mosquito, "Every morning another person crazy for the sweetness of God follows me from the flower fields to my queen, my hive and honey." The mosquito replied, "Why such arrogance? Who woke those sleepers in the middle of the night and made them crazy in the first place?" Bees. Honeybees prefer the nectar of the youngest blossoms. Ground bees delight in the ripened fruit on the grass. The honeybee turns nectar to honey, then dies and is pushed from the hive. The ground bee dies sated in the sugar of fallen fruit. Here's one. Facts. Facts are like gnats. In half light, they take on the shape of the head that attracts them. One more in this section. The wild bluebird flew out the door. That wild bluebird we thought tamed and safe flew out the door and feeds on enormous clouds of black gnats and mosquitoes. Let's let it fly and whirl in the morning sky. Inside our house, sleep and happiness have already eaten the grit of yesterday's misery.